Ooh. Oh.
All right.
Welcome to the Hunter's Advantage podcast.
Okay, let's see if this will connect. Go live. Bang. Boom. Live there. Yours is a little more zoomed in than mine.
Probably because I'm a little bit more zoomed in on my camera.
Well, let's get that figured out. Should I move mine closer?
Absolutely. Actually, I don't know. I probably look better from a distance anyways. So
Yeah, let's move yours back a little bit.
Oh,
Because I got my little lens on and it's
understood.
it won't, it's not a zoomer, if you know what I mean.
E. All right, I'm just gonna tilt that screen up. That way you can't see it. Boom.
What is
We're
up,
here.
everybody? We're
We are
here,
here.
back again. Guess who's back?
Are we live right now?
We're live right now.
Good. I was just about to show you this bite on my butt cheek, and it's
Pretty
like,
good.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, did you brave some of the beautiful cold that we're having? I say we, as if I'm a participant. I'm not. We're cold, but no snow. You guys got some snow, huh?
A little bit. Like we got like a little flurry, and
Yeah.
it was just cold enough where it hasn't melted yet. So pretty cool. I was going to go try to go rabbit hunting today, but wasn't able to make it out.
That's what Lauren was asking me. She's like, "Why do you like the snow if you can't ski or anything?" And I was like, "Because there's so many things you can do.
Yeah,
Like
I
you can
mean,
go rabbit hunting. You can basically go
so
rabbit hunting, squirrel
correct
hunting.
me. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I've always heard when you're rabbit hunting, it's good to wait till the first like snow or good frost before you hunt them. Is that like what's the myth behind that, or the?
That's what we always done. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, we haven't hunted them together a ton, but I remember back when we were in middle school and high school, there was actually snow every once in a while.
There's a
And so
couple days we slayed out.
We'd go a few times a year, maybe a couple times a year when it snowed, and
back when it used to snow.
it was freaking fun. I like it because it's like ducks, but you don't see them coming.
Yeah.
It's just like and then one's like just out of there.
They're a lot easier to see in the snow too, because you walk out those briar patches, and like most of them don't just take off sprinting. They're like just kind of hop 2 or 3 times and then just like stop and look. Like, does he see me?
Does he see me? Does he see me? Yeah, that's funny, dude.
The answer is yes, but I can't hit you anyways.
Shotgun or a rifle on rabbits?
So I don't have a 20 gauge or a 410 or anything like that. So it's either a 12 gauge or a 22. And based off meat preservation, probably
22?
smarter to go with the 22. Yeah. I looked for a box of shells yesterday at Atwoods. I got a couple gift cards from Christmas, and I was
At
like,
Atwoods? Oh, okay. I didn't know they did gift cards. Never got an Atwoods gift card.
Yeah, well, they're nice. And I bought some bird food, and then I was going to get some like 22 shells and some ammo for my AR, and they were completely out of 22 shells. So I assumed that was from the Christmas rush. But
or everybody was like, "I'm going rabbit hunting."
Yeah, maybe.
Or bird hunting, shooting some birds. We got a few things rolling in here. So for people that haven't joined the live before, we just drop a topic or a question or anything you guys want to chat about, and we'll hopefully talk about it on the podcast.
Do I need to turn my brightness down? You're like super.
My dark. I just like to be cinematic and dramatic.
I understand. Drop one elk video, and you just want to be super cinematic.
Cam Haynes over here. No, I can't joke about Cam. He's the man. Cover 2 Hunting said, "Great shot on the elk. It looked thrilling." It absolutely was. We didn't think we were going to be releasing that video for another 9 months, so it hasn't done super well, but it was fun putting it out. I've been no life in editing that video for like 4 or 5 days, so it was a really good trip. Going back and watching it and putting it together made me realize how fun it was. Like we had some really good encounters.
It was fun. Yeah. Like it's a love-hate relationship at this point in the season, because it's like January. It finally got cold in Oklahoma. Like this is cold as it's been all year. But like it's cold, but you're burnt. Does that make sense? And it ain't wind burnt.
Yeah.
It's just burnt from going.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a love-hate relationship right now. It's like, ooh, this weather's making me want to sit out there, but also I have like 3 deer on camera, and it's a button buck and 2 doe. So what's up?
Well, don't go too hard.
Yeah, I know. I won't.
So What did you see yesterday when you were out there? Nothing?
Seen a lot of snot like on my sleeve after I was done, but other than that, that's about it.
Did you not see a deer?
No,
That will
which
make you
it's funny because like I was like kind of tucked back. I was sitting in the stand that was in the timber a little bit,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, with all this wind and stuff, they're probably going to be like, I would assume tucked up right here. Well, I checked my camera at like 4:45, and they're in the other field, so they're just sucking up the. Which I don't know if there's like a better wind break right there, but
Is there
where
more
I
pecans over
was,
on that side?
I don't know. I would think they would all be kind of munched up right now because, dude, all the crows, squirrels, coons, possums, like everything
love
eats
'em.
those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things.
Well, before we get off late season hunting, Cody Idle said, "Good evening, gentlemen." Good evening, Cody.
Cody,
Good to see you,
what's
man.
up, man?
And let's talk about this one for a little bit. Oh, look at this. They're adding the question now on one side. It's almost like that fixed the problem.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't.
Hmm.
Back Mountain Outdoors said late season scouting for next season. You do any of this, Jake?
Late season scouting for next season. I mean, I would, but I think I'm going to sell all my gear at the end of this year. So no, I think it's the best time to, right? Because you and I went. I think it was last year, yeah, to Southeast where we hunt on public, and it was a lot better. You could definitely see like this year's rubs, and like especially if there's a little bit of topography with all the foliage and greenery out and stuff, it's a lot easier to see like the trails, and it's like, okay, so this kind of makes sense when, if you're hunting in October, November, you're like, I don't know, like this place looks good, but I don't know why. And now you can definitely tell, but we haven't been, if that's what you're asking.
I have not been late season scouting. I've taken my bow on a couple hikes in the last couple weeks.
Have you been in Texas yet?
Yeah, but it's at that point in the season. Shot up isn't the right word, probably, because I don't know if there's a ton of hunting around where I'm hunting, but it just seems that fluidity, the free movement is just gone. It's like it seems like everything's cautious. Like your camera activity goes from like, if it was at 100, it's like now at 20, where you might see 10 deer on a camera in a night. It's like, okay, there's one or two, and it's a doe, and it's at 3 a.m. and on spots that you would usually see daylight movement. So I'm like, okay, I'm catching the gist, of what's going on. It's that late. It's hard because late season hunting in the South, unless you're probably more over Western in Oklahoma, it's not like you got a wheat field. It's not like you got beans. It's not like you got cut corn. You got browse. And so
browse and a corn feeder.
Browse and a corn feeder. That's old late season hunting.
Did you see Cole Cannon's off Buck Ventures?
Yeah, I love
Facebook
that
post. He was like, if anyone has a deer that they want gone off their property, he said, I got a tag burning a hole in my pocket. And I was like,
now's the time.
Yeah.
Speak now or well, that's like the other day you texted me, you're like, where can I go hunt? And I threw like 4 pieces of public, and you said, I'm looking for a layup. And I was like,
yeah, dude, I don't need no half court shot right now.
Yeah. We don't get layups.
No, like I just didn't want you to misunderstand me, because I
know what you meant, but I don't have anything to offer, and neither do you. So what would you?
You literally sent me like four pins, and I said, dude, it's January. I said, I ain't doing that. You want me to go find the hot drop in Red Oak or whatever? Yeah. No, I'm good.
I understand. That's hilarious.
I'm gonna sit out in a tree, and the first doe and possibly button buck that walks out is getting turned into
not button buck,
but doe.
Dauphin?
That's not questionable. It depends how exciting and if she's about to blow at me.
Cody Idle said probably just retire, and that's kind of the attitude at this point in the season. What's the latest have you shot a January deer before?
I think I shot a doe in January, okay. But as buck wise, like that buck I shot on the lease was my latest buck to date.
Mid-December? Mm-hmm. Or was that early? No, it's still early December.
That was, it was December 5th. Rifle. Yep.
Really?
That was my latest book. Well, because usually I'm so good, and I'm usually tagged out.
Yeah, no tags.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Nothing burning a hole. Yeah. When did I shoot my buck? It was before Christmas, right? Yeah, it would have been like the 17th or 16th.
Yes, yeah,
something like that. That's probably the latest I've ever shot a buck. Drew hunted a buck on our lease all year. He shot at him once, and I think hit a limb and deflected. Shot at him another time, something happened, and he ended up killing that buck on his third chance. He killed him on January 14th.
Really?
Yeah, January 14th. It was like classic late season. Drew was like, he had his thing up to his eyes and was just snapping pictures of his eyes. And he's like, I hate that I have to do this right now. But he fought him till the end, and he killed him on like the last day or the day before last. And I was like, that's awesome.
But I think that's the difference in having a buck to hunt and not.
For sure. You don't want to start over right now.
Exactly. Because like if I had one that was like kind of halfway showing up or not showing up like that consistent, I'd be like, all right, anything can happen still. They're more liable to come out now than they were, in October. So what's the difference here, right?
Yeah.
But me, I have no sign of hope. And it's like, okay, you can go find one. I'm good. No thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I would just like I said, I'd rather go rabbit hunting or squirrel hunting right now at this point.
Everybody came to like get a late season pep talk. Jake's like, I ain't going, man. I just can't muster up the courage.
Well, hey, listen, I went yesterday evening, so I'm still trying.
I give you applause. You got street cred from me because I'm not going. Judah,
is it? Sorry, is it very cold in Texas right now? Because Oklahoma got hit with a pretty good cold front.
It's cold, but it's not. We don't got any like weather to come with it. It's 39 right now.
Oh, really?
Not bad.
It's 18 here.
Yeah, so it's cold, relative. That's like a normal Tuesday in the Midwest, probably. Judah said, "What's up, y'all? What's up, Judah?" And he said the bucks are starting to shed up here in Michigan. That'd be cool. I mean, I guess that if your season's still going, that's not cool. But
ain't cool if you got a buck tag. You're like, damn it, I hope he's holding.
I don't know who it was, but I saw a post on Instagram the other day of a guy late season muzzleloader hunting. I think it was like in Iowa or Illinois, and he shoots this toad. Like it's got one side that's like insanely big, and then the other side is just a fresh shed pedicle, like it was still red. And he was like, had it last night, and he showed a trail cam picture of the buck like the night before, and everybody was like, you better drop everything to go find that shed. And he was like, I have to go back to work. I can't look for it. And I'm like, no.
Wow. Well,
maybe he'll find it, but that sucks, Judah. Unless you got like a really good up and comer that shed, and you're like, thank the Lord. But he also might get shot like late season as a doe.
That dude, that would be tragic. But I think if it's a buck that big, he probably has a good body size to go with it. So they would check it out a little bit extra, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Cody Idle said, did you fellas see the Texas buck my buddy killed 2 weeks ago? We pushed hard for this buck. I did not see that one, Cody. Is it
we will pull it up right now.
Is it on your Instagram? Also have not been on the socials very much. Let's see. I don't see. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Is it the Illinois buck?
I don't know, to be honest. He posts a lot, so I don't know. Yeah, Cody's posted 4 times in the last 20 hours. So I don't know, Cody. Send us a Instagram DM, and we'll check it out.
You wanna post for us? Like,
yeah. You need a part-time job? I'm sure you don't, but I haven't seen that one. You said 194 inches. That's crazy. That's freaking awesome.
I'm looking for it.
Liam Jones Outdoors said, is there any advantages to hunting in Florida, my home state? Because I don't think we have any advantages. Don't be too optimistic, man.
I mean, you got warm weather, don't you? Like, never cold.
I've heard your bass hunting is really good.
What all lakes do they have there?
Okeechobee.
That's right. That's the one I was.
That's the one I'd want to fish. Just watching all the like big flipping big plastics and jigs and stuff into those reeds. That's like a hunter or a bass fisherman's wet dream. But no, I don't know if there's any advantages. Maybe. No, I can't think of one. I'm sorry. I can't think of an advantage for a whitetail hunter. But I mean, you have
Studblood.
Osceolas down
right.
there. Studblood, yeah. He kills some pretty nice bucks in Florida. But advantages compared to the rest of the country, no, I can't think of many.
Yeah, I feel like we're at a deficit
Good
here
weather.
in Oklahoma. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like compared to like the Midwest people, but Florida's like an Alabama hunting or a Mississippi. I
It's
feel
a little
like
different. A little different. Zach Kajowski, what's up, boys? What's up, Zach? Zach actually just sent me a trail cam picture on Instagram of a buck that he has in Oklahoma that we're waiting on an
I'm about
HD
to say
photo because it looks
he's
like a
tagged
giant.
out in Texas, right?
I don't know. I don't know if that buck he shot was a Texas buck or not. Zach,
I thought it
let us know.
was. It was a
It
good
was
buck.
stud. It's freaking
Yeah.
biggin. Okay, Jordan Sherry Schaffler. I'm assuming this was Jordan and not Sherry. What do you think the most common misconception is about hunting / being a hunter?
So is this person? Is it like an alter ego? He's either Jordan or Sherry.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it? What do you think the
Most
most
common
common
misconception.
misconception is about hunting / being a hunter? What do you think, Christian?
No, I read the question.
You've read the last 4 questions.
True. What do you think the most common misconception is about being a hunter? Shoot, honestly, I don't know because I think I was talking to Clayton about this today. Clayton shot a good buck over here in San Saba.
Texas Clayton or Oklahoma Clayton?
Texas Clayton, yeah.
Nice.
Shot a good buck yesterday. And we were talking about it, and dude, hunting used to be kind of taboo in a sense. Like, if you're gonna eat meat, like, you know, a lot of people ate meat, but they thought hunting was kind of cruel in a sense. Hunting is kind of cool now. Like, you got a lot of really big influencers supporting it. Like, you got Rogan, you got Cam Hanes, you got Steve Rinella. So I don't think it's the most common misconceptions of like people being violent or weird or cruel. I don't think those really exist anymore. So I can't think of a ton of common misconceptions about hunting or being a hunter. I think it's kind of cool right now. It's kind of in, don't you think?
I think it's the cool thing to do for sure because of the big names you mentioned, but one that I just, for the sake of conversation, what I'm thinking of is like no one really cares what you shoot outside of your close friend group, family, like hunting buddies.
Yourself.
Yeah. Other than that, like it doesn't matter really what you shoot. You could be the spikes may fear you, right? But no one's going to get, I mean, internet people will give you crap, but in 30 minutes, they're going to be commenting on someone else's stuff. So, long story short, I think shoot what makes you happy, kind of the okayest hunter mentality. And, you know, trophy is in the eye of the beholder. So that's, I guess, what I would say.
That is a good point because you can shoot a 170-inch deer, take it into your taxidermist, and he's going to put it on the rack like he did every single one of the other ones, and he's not going to give it a second look. Like,
yeah,
that was my. I didn't shoot a 170, but I took Jared my 162, and I was like, he'll be impressed by this. And then he goes, "Oh, that's a good one. That's a nice one." And we've set it on the rack, and he goes, "Check these out." Opens his door, walks in his little side safe room, and there's like 14 bigger than anything.
Yeah,
and I was like,
the thing. There's always the bigger deer.
There was like 3 200s in there too. I was like, oh, you know, like not that you think about it that way,
Yeah,
but it's just like, you want to be, you're proud of your deer, so you show people there's always a bigger one, and nobody cares. Like, if someone doesn't have a close enough relationship to come look at it at your house, they don't care, even if they give you a nice little double tap. So that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
What else we got? That was an okay buck. No, it wasn't an okay buck. That was a great buck. Don't sell yourself short.
Seriously.
I get what you're saying though. You shot probably. What did that one score, Zach? I'm kind of curious.
A lot, because every time he sends me a message or I send him a message and I see his profile picture, I'm like, dang.
Yeah. How many points was it?
Big, dude. I don't know. Like a big 9 or a big 10. I think it had some kickers too.
I want to say
it was awesome.
9 or 10.
That was a great buck, Zach.
It was a good buck. It wasn't an okay
163 and 0.5. You dirty dog.
He's bigger. He's bigger than you by 1.5 inches. How does that make you feel? Would be the first time.
13 points. Yeah, wouldn't be the first time. 13 points, 163. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Zach, you want to take over this podcast? We want us to sign it over to you. You're the big daddy now. Matt Lewis said, "Evening, boys." What's up, Matt?
Hello.
I'm gonna read a couple over here on Instagram since they don't show up here. Judah said y'all should try to get the Seek One guys on. Yeah, we should. That'd be awesome. If you got the plug, Judah, send them our way. And he also said we'll see. There's a late rifle doe season coming up, and we've got tons of it's brown, it's down around here. I understand. Judah also said, "What's y'all's favorite old meme?" Are you old enough to know memes, Judah?
Old meme.
The one that I'm thinking of is like, "Ain't nobody got time for that." That one's funny.
The what WUTT of that like chick, and she has like black bags around her eyes, and she's like 380. She's like, what? You know what I'm talking about? That's a pretty good one.
Okay, let's knock through some of these other ones. Dalen Sloan said, "What's up, guys? Watch the elk hunting video. It was a really good watch." Thank you, brother. Thank you for watching it. Appreciate that. All right, you take a couple, Jake. Your turn.
Liam Jones Outdoors. Also, people all around me are seeing good bucks, but I haven't seen any deer on my trail camera on my private property. Any tips on getting more deer on my property and how to keep them on there? I like how you give me the one that's a paragraph, and you're like, "Hey, have fun with that, Jake."
Jake's not a good reader.
Third grade, yeah, let's see your third grade reading level that hasn't changed since freaking kindergarten. It's like nice. You can see
this is like the Pythagorean theorem. Better. You put it in front of Jake.
Yeah. What's your answer? Any tips on getting more deer on my property and then how to keep them on there, brother? I don't know. You better have bedding, I guess. Bedding and food, especially this time of year, because you've been through probably a bow season or a muzzleloader season, rifle season, and that's not even including all the poachers and whatever else might be creeping through on your property. So I would think good security cover and food would be what you're wanting right now. And if your neighbor has anything better, then it's probably best that they're going to be there, because they're not going to see your land and be like, "Oh, I'm not pressured over here." They're going to find the best resource built for them, and they're going to stick there, right? So what do you got for them?
That's the only other thing that I was going to say was the pressure aspect of it. If you can't add food or cover, maybe you don't have the means, maybe you don't care enough, or maybe you do. Pressure is another thing that you can control. So how you step on it, hunting it with the right winds. I don't know. Also, I don't know how big your property is, how it lays out.
I will say this: if you don't have cover, because I have food, I have plenty of food on my private that I can hunt. I just don't have cover, and it ain't a pressure ordeal that I know of, unless poachers do whatever. But I don't think that's the case. I got enough cameras scattered through there. But I've hunted it 4 or 5 times this whole entire season, and it's like, what's up?
Oh, for sure. You have to have a baseline.
It
has to be good to start, and then pressure can make it better, or lack of pressure can make it better. You're not going to make a hay meadow staying out of it better. It's not like they're just going to show up. You can try, and try. We have. Oh yeah, you got a mic. You got one too. Go ahead.
Farrell, do y'all have any solutions for bow hunting rain gear for early season with warmer temps? What do you got?
I have some rain gear that's not Frog Togs, which I usually have used in the past. I have some Sitka rain gear that I bought on Facebook Marketplace a long while back. If you're going to buy rain gear, I have some that have vented armpits, so they have a zipper to let the heat out, and which basically that allows you to get all the benefits of not being wet, but release all the heat. So that's the only way that I've found to wear rain gear if it's still pretty hot. It's just opening those vents. So maybe finding some good stuff. Rain gear is not a place that I would skimp. I would rather skimp on other stuff than rain gear. I think there's other places you can, because if you get wet, you're definitely going to get cold.
So just to add on to that, I don't have any rain gear as of right now. Like, I just have my water resistant stuff. And if it gets too bad, then I just try to bum someone else's rain gear that's at gear camp or whatever that maybe not going. But I know Numa makes some, it looks to be pretty good rain gear. I haven't tested it out yet, but oh shoot, what was I going to add to that? I forget.
Come on, you're going to talk about the Torrent set.
No.
You can get warmth and rain gear.
I forget.
All right, well, we'll come back to it. Or not. Here's an interesting one off Instagram. Cody Idol said, "Here's some cool whitetail stuff for you for the live, maybe a podcast. I have been tasked with selling the General buck, that big giant from Nebraska. I think it was a world record typical at one time. The asking price is $1 million. $1 million.
Wait, I need to read that again. I don't have it pulled up. I don't have Instagram pulled
Cody
up.
Idol said, "Here's some cool whitetail stuff for you, the live, maybe a podcast. I have been tasked with selling the General buck. Asking price is $1 million. That's crazy.
How do you go about selling it? Does Cody, do you own the rights to that, or does someone else and he just sells it for him?
I don't know. Either him or someone he knows obviously does, but
I mean, I know on Cody's Instagram and stuff, like he's all the time like holding giant sheds and deadheads and stuff, and I'm just like,
But selling
$1 million, dude. Could you imagine?
Well, what I'm confused about is in that scenario, there's only a certain subset of the population that even cares about hunting at all. It's like probably less than 10%. How many of those people are millionaires? How many of those people have $1 million in liquidity to spend on a deer head? I mean, I would think you'd have to be an ultra high net worth individual, 50 plus million, to spend $1 million on a deer head. So I want to know the person who buys it because I want to be their friend and I want to hunt with them.
I know a lot of things I could buy with $1 million, and a deer head ain't one of them. But to each their own. Like it would be
Snyder owns
cool.
It, is what he said. He came to me to sell it.
Oh, okay,
cool.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with
That's
you.
awesome. Keith is a super nice guy. We messaged with him a little bit. So, dang, that's cool. Oh, that's right, because the General that was in that Exodus video when they went to Keith's place. Remember?
Oh,
his
basement.
I
remember that now.
Was in there.
Yeah, whitetail cribs.
That's crazy. Okay.
Dude, that would be so cool just to be in the midst of like that. I wonder how I think we do need to have Cody on because it's like how do those transactions like take place? How does someone come out and be like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this? Like because isn't there like some regulations around that too that you kind of have to be savvy with?
I don't know on selling
depending on state to state.
Horns. I do not know. That's above my knowledge.
I remember what I was going to ask you earlier. Okay, since we're talking about rain gear and like you wouldn't skimp out on rain gear, what is something you would skimp out on? Would it be base layers like the mid or like the outerwear? What do you think?
Outerwear for sure.
You think
I think base layers are important. Yeah. Because I could put more stuff. If I had a good base layer to stop the heat before it gets off me, I could put on a jacket like this and then another jacket and be pretty good. Unless you have like a $500 jacket that is just like a all encompassing. But you can buy a lot of base layers for $500. So like I'm saying most economical would be to get a really, really good set of base layers and then build around that with the cheaper stuff. That's what I would do if it was me. Carol tells me he told me the other day he doesn't even wear base layers. I'm like, dude, how do you ever stay warm?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Because that's the layering system, right? You start next to skin.
Like I have like the merino base, but I have, I guess, just the outer wear, but my middle is always usually like a sweatshirt or something, or like another long sleeve, and it's like nothing special. It's like just everyday sweatshirts.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There you go. Cody said, I'm working with a couple folks that are in the market. I will share the details once it's done. My dad actually named it the General. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a perfect name for that deer too. That thing is the General. Okay, here we go. Jim Pawpaw Carroll. Any downside / concerns of taking a late season / post rut doe? What do you think?
I mean, there's always that risk of
downsides
when you gut it. Like there might be a little low sack in there, but other than that, like still a good time to take them. I think more people need to take those because I was griping about only having a couple on camera, but if I go out there on the right evening, I'll see, 12 to 15 doe milling around in the field and
no bucks.
No bucks. So it's like based on, I guess, what you want out of your property. Like I don't think there's a bad or a downside with taking them. What do you think?
Well, the Department of Conservation is managing with a broad stroke, so it's like it's hard to know property to property, but Generally speaking, I think we don't take enough does, so that's why they opened up the special, the late season doe day with rifles in Oklahoma, was to incentivize people to take does. So obviously, it needs to be done. I know a lot of the WMAs are like killing for people to take does because everybody comes and just wants to hunt bucks. It's like, I need to come here
Yeah.
for a doe. So
But
I think
you get on that the private property and stuff, and like you have those doe groups that like you've been following them
Yeah,
all
you see
summer,
'em.
probably a couple years, and you're just like, man, I'm too attached to this mama doe. This doe right here with the withered hips, she always throws 2 fawns, and it's like she's safe. And so that's, at least for me, I kind of get sentimental, but every now and then you got to let one fly. So I don't know.
Yeah, if you don't have to take them late season, I wouldn't. But if you haven't shot a doe or you need to shoot some does, like, yeah, there's nothing wrong shooting them late season. I've shot them on January 14th before. Felt a little weird about it, but just it is what it is. He said, "Woo." Okay. Matt Lewis said, "Oh, here we go. How much meat you get from that elk?" Not as much as you would think.
If you're asking me, I didn't get any, but I bring
Come
that up
on
every
down.
podcast. I'll
Come
stop.
down. Shoot, probably. I'm guessing somewhere like around 150, 175 pounds. Like, I think what we took home was how big was that cooler? An 80-liter cooler of deboned meat. So it was off the quarters. It wasn't quartered. It was like completely deboned, and it went from bottom to top with no ice, fully full. So do the math. It was heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of meat. I still got a lot of elk meat.
How much better is it than your venison?
It's pretty similar. Like,
Is it really?
I'd say it's a little bit better, but I like, sometimes I give Lauren the elk and she's like, "Was that elk?" Or I'll give her deer and she's like, "Was that elk?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Man, it's delicious." And I'm like, "That was deer." So I think it's a little placebo, but like, she makes an elk chili at home and it's next level.
Really
So,
good. You put
it's
beans in
pretty
it?
good. Yeah. Beans go in chili.
Okay. No onions?
No onions.
Gotcha.
Onions don't go in anything.
You can't even taste them, though.
Those were God's mistake. If I ever when I get to heaven, I'm asking him, dude, what were these for?
My favorite reply to that is Justin. He goes, "Yeah, I told her to don't put onions in it," and she said, "Why? You can't even taste them." He said, "Then why the hell do you even put them in there in the first place?"
It's so true, though. It's so true. If you can't taste them and they don't have a crunch, like, why put them in there, dude? It's a great argument. Zach said, "Shoot, dude, you had a heck of a year." We had a pretty good year. Thanks, brother. Jace Thompson said, "What's up, Kilo? What's up, dude? I heard you were on a Western Oklahoma excursion. They were hunting some public." This is Drew Forsman's brother-in-law.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
He said, "Go ahead."
Oh, Liam commented back and he said, "It's 40 acres. What is you guys' favorite camo to hunt in?"
Good question. So we've hunted a lot in Sitka gear, which is it's a really good technical camo. I've probably got, over the years, a really good set of it, 20 pieces probably. We recently started hunting this last month in Numa gear, which I guess is Numa outdoor gear, and it's really good. So we've been using that recently, switching to, and I think we're going to be switching to that. So that's what we've been using. It's really good stuff. It's a little more affordable than Sitka too, which
I've noticed that.
I think that's a big positive. That's a big drawback to the real technical stuff, is it's freaking really expensive, and everything's expensive, but it's a little less expensive. And I didn't see any dip in the quality, and I like the pattern. I like the pattern too. A little more dairy for me.
Did you like the High Point or the Torrent better?
I like them both. They're different. I like the Torrent because it's something I feel like I could wear a lot more of the season. But when it's super cold, it was 20s, I think, when I shot that buck, and I was wearing t-shirt in the High Point.
Really?
Yeah, t-shirt and High Point.
You see, that's another good thing. Like, most of the time, though, like, because we're from the South, we don't usually hunt in hardly anything except a t-shirt and pants,
or a jacket.
90% of the time,
like this kind of jacket, like a hoodie.
Yeah. And I know there's been probably 10 to 15 hunts where I just wear my work pants. Like, I get these little, they're like slate
Under
or
Armour?
gray colored work pants from Sam's, and they're like $10-15, and I just wear that and a hoodie or something like that most of the time. Because you got to think, you got your saddle on, so you're basically half of you's already covered up, at least your body, your legs are. So
Yeah. That's what I was telling Amber from Numa. She's like, man, we really got to get you hooked up with the late season stuff. And I was like, Amber, it's late season here for 2 weeks.
I will say this though, since that high point set didn't fit me, so I tossed it to you, and since it got cold, I was like, man, I wouldn't even
I
care.
made a mistake.
If it was just a little big, like I kind of wanted it, because like
Yeah.
you don't need it until you need it.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like rain gear, right? Like you don't need it until you're soaked to the bone. Tack, very good instance. It's like no one brought rain gear. No one thought we'd need rain gear. And it's like, oh, we ain't gonna be out there that long. And then, you get to shot 25 and Carroll's bleeding from his hind end because he's chafing so bad. And like everybody's just soaked to the bone. And it's lovely.
Was it you and I that were on a team in TAC when it was raining and they were up like 5?
Yeah, we were on the
targets?
Sitka course.
Yeah, they were up like 5 targets in this competition. We're like, dude, they just don't have this mentality. And then they like started to break down. And everyone, like, I remember that was awesome. We won that.
Do you remember a certain target where Micah completely counted the score wrong and he gave it to us when we didn't win it? And we're like, yep, exactly.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
We're like, man, we got a break right there, let me tell you.
Your loss is my gain.
Though. What is that? J Slot Outdoors. I discovered y'all's previously recorded episodes over the last couple months on my 4-hour drives to and from the Texas Hill Country lease. I enjoy your content, fellas. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, brother.
Sir.
Look at that. Look at his profile picture, though. That's a hog.
Dude, I want to see anything. I'll do anything right now. I just want to kill something that's not sitting in the sand.
He's got a big hog, and then is that like what kind of dog is that? It looks like not a border collie. It's something sharp ears.
It looks like.
Yeah, healer. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a freaking giant hog. That really puts it into perspective with the dog. I really do want to bow hunt some pigs this summer. I would love that'd be awesome.
Well, the private was supposed to have like 20 to 30, but I moved that cell cam around to a different spot, and I was like, oh, if I don't have like a good win one day, I'll just slide in here, try to shoot a hog, because they were pretty consistent. Haven't seen them since, I guess, on the hoof. Haven't seen them since.
There.
So
that's good. That's good though.
Not a big enough population.
Yeah. What else you got?
I'm looking. Oh, Farrell said, why those pit zips are great.
Yeah, they're awesome for getting rid of heat. It's a big deal.
You want to take that one?
Yeah, Zach said late season. What is y'all's go-to area? Maybe on public, freshest sign set up on that ? Or maybe a fresh rub line or scrape setup. What do you think?
It's a good question.
Late season, he said though.
I feel like kind of like I was describing earlier, like security cover and food and whatever that looks like in your neck of the woods, right? Like what we were talking about the other day is down in Southeast, you're talking about staying on Red Oaks, right? And then if it's Southwest, hunt over Winter Wheatfield, but just the good looking food source in this time of year in your neck of the woods is kind of where you need to be.
I wouldn't put the fresh sign. I was thinking about that today. One of the things too about the late season in the Midwest, like Gabe's been sending me a bunch of pictures. And dude, he sent me one photo. It's got like 30 deer in it on one field.
Really?
And, yeah.
What was the field?
It was a cut corn field.
Really?
Yeah, I think his grandpa had left some stalks for him. And the thing about that is when you get snow fairly often, it's a lot easier to see the fresh sign versus where we're at. It's a lot of it's grass. So the trails that were there in November are the same trails that are there January 15th. And it's kind of tough. Is that November sign or is that sign from right now? So
I don't know why Zach's asking that question. We should be asking him.
Yeah, Zach. Open up your line.
Matt Lewis. So like double a whitetail.
He's talking about the elk
your
meat.
elk. Yep.
Yeah, I would say probably right at double, maybe a little over. Because I was looking at the stats on an elk, like what a bull weighs, and to be honest with you, when we walked up on the bull, I was like, I thought they were going to be a little bigger, like body wise. But the one I shot wasn't a 7-year-old bull either, so I don't know what.
How old do you think your bull
shot
was?
Probably 3, I would
3.
think 4, maybe. I sent the tooth off, so we'll see. So that'll be cool. But I assumed. Well, I looked on Google and they were like a small bull elk is 400 pounds, and I'm like, was that one I shot 400 pounds? Do you think it was 400 pounds?
Are you actually asking me? Or
Yeah. Do you think it was 400 pounds? Because I've
I
shot a
think it was-
230-pound whitetail, and it was a lot bigger than that, but it didn't feel 400 pounds to me.
I think it was around there.
Around 400.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's
I'm
first
spitballing
one I've ever
here.
seen. I don't know, but like comparatively, I think so because I don't know how heavy my buck was in Southwest, but he was pretty big bodied, and like yours, because we did talk about that after we or before we started gutting it. We're like, I'm pretty sure you're the one that said, man, I thought this would be a little bit bigger, and nothing against your elk or anything, but I just think it was probably, yeah, I'd probably say around 4.
Because I was thinking they could get 1.5 times that size, and they probably can. It's probably the difference between a 170-pound whitetail and a 250-pound whitetail. It's just a big difference. So probably right about 400 and 175 pounds of meat, 150 pounds of meat. There's a couple on Instagram I want to hit before. Cody Idle said the Nebraska Giant, he scored 111. The right side of the shed scored 111 typical, and the left is 108. So he's a 219-inch typical without a spread.
Nice. Dude, that one side was bigger than the buck I shot last year on public.
Total. Awesome. Okay, as Hunter said, howdy fellas. What's up, dude? Jim.
I don't know which guy that is on OK's Hunter, but if this is Eric, congrats on the Michael Waddell interview. That's big.
He did that like 2 years ago.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I seen it on Instagram, so that's your fault for duping people.
You didn't read it.
I didn't read
it. Jim Belair said, fairly new here. Where do y'all hunt? We hunt everywhere, primarily Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. I don't know why I continue to do that to myself, but I do. And then a little bit out west, but primarily Oklahoma.
We're hoping to venture out. Would that be north? Yeah, that'd be north.
A little northwest action.
Little north.
I got some updates. I got some updates for you about that.
Okay.
Landon was hitting me up, and I actually need to call him back because he called me today. Okay, Hunter said, either way, that's a lot of
good or bad.
Good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is a lot. It's Eric. He said, thanks. That was a while back. You got to read the post. LOL. Exactly.
Listen, just like with the comments, Christian tries to toss me the ones with more than like 4 sentences, and I just completely go blank. It's almost like shooting a deer, right? Like you just black out and just punch the trigger. That's what you got to do on posts too.
100%. Okay, here you go.
Don't know if you guys rifle hunt, but if you could only use one rifle caliber for North America, what are you using? This is Liam Jones Outdoors. For anything, man, I think it's hard to beat a 30-06. Like it's big enough where I think you can shoot about anything in the North American continent. Do you not think so?
Yes, but do you say that because you haven't shot anything else?
Yeah, it's like the only caliber I really know. I think I got like a 30-30, 30-06, and I think that's my highest caliber rifle.
Yeah.
So that's all I know, brother. What do you think?
You could only use one caliber. Probably, I don't know, because I've hunted the majority of the deer that I've shot with a gun is with a 30-06 as well. Also
does
with
the trick.
30. It does the trick. We shot antelope with 30-06s before. But the caveat here is one caliber for North America. I think 30-06 is big enough for probably anything, but if I had to pick one caliber for North America, I'd probably pick a 300 Win Mag. This would be me. I've shot one deer with 300 Win Mag, and I swear to you, I saw its like soul come out of its body and just float
Oh yeah,
away.
but again, this is the blind leading the blind here when we're talking about grains and rifle calibers and stuff like that. But with that being said, you're talking about the overall, right? Like you're going to have your big old moose and grizzly bear or whatever else you're going to be shooting with the thing. But also, if remember, you're just choosing one. What do you primarily hunt though? That's probably whitetail, right? Or maybe a mule deer. And like, yeah, you might want to poke a little bit further out there when it comes to certain things. But taking keeping in mind the meat preservation side of it, where you're like, hey, if I shoot this doe, I don't want it to be sawed in half already before I got it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I think a 30-06 is just like a chef's kiss.
It's yeah.
I see the carnage it does, and like even if you hit it like right behind the shoulder, you don't really mess up hardly anything. It's like, dude, the internal damage. Sometimes you're lucky to keep the dang loins out of the dang thing, which I guess it depends on what you're using, bullet wise.
I hope you're not hitting them in the loins.
Well, you know what I mean. Just like the collateral,
I know what you
crap
mean.
gets everywhere.
But if he's saying one rifle caliber for North America, okay, let's think about the slam. You have 3 species of moose. You have 5 species of caribou. That's 8. You have 3 species of elk. That's 11 animals that are all 400 plus, probably 350 plus. That's half the animals on the slam already. Then you have your sheep, which are big. What else?
See, that's what would worry me is like, granted, I've never shot like super far with a rifle, but how far do you think you could like shoot consistently and ethically with the 30-06? Like, I'm legitimately asking. I have no earthly idea. Furthest I've ever shot with 30-06 is like 250 yards.
If you were a good shot or us?
Like, if you were to try to make the 30-06 a more Western gun, or like maybe you're taking it a goat hunting or whatever the case may be.
Oh, I'm assuming the drop off, and I've looked at some of the ballistic charts, is more than 2 feet at 300 yards. I think that's right. So I wouldn't want to shoot a rifle more than 300 yards. But then again, I see people all the time in Western videos like 746 yards.
Yeah, well,
let's do this. And like, they don't even hesitate. Like, yeah, he's right there. No problem. And I don't know. I don't get that. I don't understand that. I see a deer at 125 yards and I'm like, that's not a chip shot. And then I hear the Donald Trump shooter and he's like, oh, 150 with a rifle is a chip shot. I'm like, for who? Not for me. But I also don't rifle hunt, very much. So
apparently neither did that shooter either. So
he obviously didn't. Yeah. But if I had to pick one caliber, knowing that there are that many animals, 350 plus on the slam. By the way, that's not including the grizzly, the brown, polar bear. There's 15 plus animals on that slam that are freaking huge.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go 301 mag.
Could you kill all of those animals on the slam with the bow?
Yeah, you can, for sure.
And someone's
35 people have done that.
What's the earliest someone's killed the slam? Like date wise,
19 years old.
Right. No, I'm talking about
like when? I'm not sure. Because I don't think I think it's a fairly recent thing. I don't think the slam was a thing.
Well, where I'm going with this is, okay, if they did it fairly early, like let's say, I don't even know what a good year to base this off of, when the bow technology wasn't where it's at now, obviously.
Yeah.
And like they 80s. Still got it done with, those 350 pound plus animals. It's like, I would think a modern day 30-06 could do anything justice.
Oh, I think you could get it done with a 243, kind of like Matt's saying. Like, I think you could probably get it done with a 243. I wouldn't want to shoot a predator in the chest with a 243. If I shot a grizzly with a 243, I wouldn't be like, I'd be still sitting like, I hope.
Racking another one.
Yeah, so I'm just talking what I think would be best for the whole scenario, because you're not gonna kill them any more dead with 30-06 and a 300 Win Mag for a deer, but they're also they're probably not gonna run off. So maybe you lose some shoulder meat, but it is what it is. Okay, that was a good one. That's a good question.
Mhm.
Liam Jones Outdoors said my personal favorite is original mossy oak bottomland. Can't go wrong with it. Yeah, it's a good pattern, man. It's a great pattern. Legendary. Here you go.
Farrell said, "I've seen a bunch of hog sign in East Texas. Yeah, I've heard there's a few hogs down there in Texas.
Do you feel like I feel like we've seen less hogs in recent years, places that we've hunted.
You think
I
so?
haven't. When's the last time you've seen a hog in the mountains? I didn't see
Last
one
year,
this year. How many did you see?
like a group of 3, and that was
Okay.
it.
But I used to
Yeah.
see them every year, like all the time. Like I would shoot a couple a year down there, or at least one a year, and see other ones. But I don't really feel like I see very many anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, which if you've been paying attention, they've kind of been on top of their hog game. If you've seen all the traps and stuff
Trapping.
down there,
Mhm.
so that might have something to do with it. But that is a good point. Matt Lewis, what bows you shooting in 2025?
I am shooting a PSE Evo NTN. I believe it's a 33. I think that's a 2021 or a 2020 model. It's not super new, but it's not really old either. I shoot that because of my draw length. My draw length's 31 and a half. So there's not a whole lot of bows that I can shoot. I can't really shoot the flagship bows from each manufacturer. They usually max out before I can get into them. So that's what I'm shooting. And I've shot, I think 5 animals with that this year, and I've liked it pretty good. So I think a new bow would be nice, but it's not something. Kind of talking earlier about like what you can skimp on outside, base layers, whatever. A brand new bow is what I'm skimping on. I'm not really into the whole getting a new bow. Also, I couldn't be into it if I wanted to be. So it's something I try to talk. Something I try to talk myself out of. Like I don't even want it, you know. So
Well,
but I do.
There's also a comfortability thing, I think, because I've only shot 2 bows my entire life. Matthew Switchback, and then my V3 that I have now. And granted, I know you can like change the grip and stuff, but on the Switchback, it has like an old like wooden grip style, and so it's pretty fat in your palm.
It
and
is.
the V3, it's like pretty thin. And so if I was to try to switch year after year, now granted, the bows now are like more slimline, where it's like one grip is basically like every grip. And so like there might not be that big of a jump, but still yet it's just like the feeling and the comfortability. It's like if I shoot a bow, dadgummit, like and I especially if I like it, I want to keep shooting it. I know that's sucks, but what sight you running?
I'm shooting the black gold 3-pin. I don't even know what it's called. It's a black gold.
HHA?
No, it's not an HHA. Black
Oh,
gold's the brand. I don't know what it's called. It's a 3-pin adjustable.
Tetris.
That's an HHA.
Oh, I see. Then I don't know.
Dude, man, you're not a gearhead.
No, I'm not. Listen,
Bowtech, you talking PSE?
this is all you need right here, brethren. See this V3? This is it right here. See that? Hold on. Spot Hog Fast Eddie XL.
Yep.
3-pin sight, adjustable. That's all you need.
That's it.
It is
but I get
super heavy.
Yeah,
but
that sight.
Yeah, I like it though.
Well, I get what you're saying on the familiarity thing though, because I shot a Prime Nexus 4 for a long time, and even though it didn't fit me, I got really comfortable with it, and probably shot 30 animals with that bow, and it was really hard to give it up because I was like, even though it's not perfect, I'm like, it's familiar. Like I know how it shoots, I know what it feels like. I have confidence because I've actually seen it happen with this bow. Taking my PSE out west this year, I'm like, well, I hope this thing works, and I know it's not the bow, but there's part of it that you're like, I haven't seen it work before, so I hope it does.
Yeah,
there's a comfortability aspect.
Veteran Outdoors. I got a 160-pound boned out meat from a cow in my picture.
Oh, a cow elk.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, 160 pounds boned out. Yeah. To be honest, your cow probably wasn't very different than the bull that I shot. If I would really be honest with you, the bull that I shot, like I said, did not blow me away on body size.
And that might have been because we seen some like giant bull the
Yeah,
evening
true.
before, and giant, and so I think I just kind of it's like catching a or seeing or missing a 7-pound bass and then catching a 2-pounder. And you're like, nice,
Yeah,
still happy, nice.
right. Okay, here we go. 308 for North America, I think 243 for deer. Yeah, 308 for North America would work. I mean, you're all 30-06, 308, 7mm. You're kind of all in that range, right? We're talking. I know there's differences, but I'm also not a super big gunhead, so I don't know the ballistics of all the stuff. Here is one more. Go ahead.
Liam Jones says if you were using a nice rifle, maybe a little less than a mile. So I think he was referring to when I was asking how far a 30-06 would poke.
Yeah.
And yeah.
In the right hands, brother.
Yeah.
These are not the right
Chris Kyle. You divide that by actually don't even divide it. Just subtract about 80% of that. Now we're talking. I couldn't even short a quarter mile.
You can't read, and then you're going to try to do division on the podcast. you literally gave up. You said, let's divide by minus 80%, whatever that is.
Never mind.
Not gonna try.
Little did I know that's still, I think, under a quarter mile. So that's still too far for me.
That's awesome. He said I'm picking a 270. That's a good one too. I've never had a 270, but I know a lot of people that have killed a lot of deer with those. Here's another good one from Instagram. Since we're on the gun caliber kind of debate right now, Jim said, what do you all think about the 6.5 Creedmoor? You know anything about the 6.5 Creedmoor?
No, brother, I do not.
So the 6.5
I know it probably shoots 5.56 or 2.23. Am I right? Is that type of ammo it shoots? Maybe, I don't know.
We're never going to a gun conference, dude. They're gonna be like,
no, I don't know guns.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. The 6.5 Creedmoor is like the Sitka Bro of the gun community. It's a lighter caliber. I think it's meant for really good long range shooting. So there's a lot of competitive shooters that shoot it at like 1,000 yards. It's typically thought of as something that's a little light for deer hunting. I think you can go from 90 grains, maybe a little less than that, all the way up to like 140, 150. So there's a wide range, but it's a super flat shooting gun. But it doesn't pack a lot of ump. And so if you ever get into like the gun side of Instagram or something, like people talk about gay people shooting 6.5 Creedmoors all the time is like what people joke around. Or like they'll be like flagrant people and they're like, yeah, that's a 6.5 shooter.
So it's basically like, I ain't gonna go there. It's basically like the crossbows of archery is what a 6.5 is. So what's a blackout? Is that the same thing, just a different version of it? Yeah.
No, 300 blackout's like it's a long and like super fat round, and I believe it was designed for like the special forces communities. It only shoots like 1,200 feet per second. It's a big fat projectile, and it's meant to not over penetrate through walls. So it's like for close quarters shooting.
I actually know guns, but just so the government doesn't come and confiscate all mine, like I just act like I don't even know what a gun is.
I lost all mine in a fire. In a boating accident. Okay. Go ahead.
Veteran Outdoors. I've killed everything from coyotes to elk with 30-06, my brother, from 10 to 300 yards. When sighted dead on 200, 180 grain PSP is 9 inches low at 300 yards and 26 inches low at 400. So 9 at 300 and 26 at 400. Wow.
And that's sighted in at 200 yards.
That's basically 3 times the amount of droppage within 100 yards after a certain point.
Yep. Not a ballistic guy, but that sounds 9 inches at 300 yards. That sounds pretty good because I've looked at some of my rounds before and it's a lot more than that, but I'm also zeroed at 100 yards, not 200.
And he's also shooting 180. You're probably shooting like 150, 155.
Oh Lord, dude, this is getting into a conversation that we can't have.
Let's try it. I'm down. Let's try it.
What do you guys think of all these new PRC versions of original cartridges?
Let me just Jake GPT this real quick. I have no earthly idea.
Dude,
what
I have
PRC even means.
No idea. I don't know what that means. I think it means precision rifle cartridge, if I'm right. I could be completely wrong. That could mean pretty really cool. I don't know what that means.
Precision rifle
Rifle.
shooters.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
Oh, no. Precision rifle cartridge. You're right.
Yeah, but I don't know what the different versus the original. I don't know. It's kind of out of my realm.
Mm.
He said you're right. Okay. Yep. I'm right, but I don't have an opinion on it because I don't know what it means. I don't know. Waldront7 on Instagram said, do you prefer Texas or Oklahoma public ground for whitetail?
That's a you, brother. Never hunted Texas.
I would say what public ground in Texas for whitetail are you hunting? Because I hunt. I live in Central Texas right now, and the closest public I have to my house, I think, is over a couple hours away that I could hunt like without drawing. So probably haven't done enough Texas public hunting to really give it a fair shake, but I also don't live in a place where there's a lot of public ground, which is pretty frustrating. To give you a example of that, there was a draw for a place by my house, and there was a secondary draw. They draw permits like in person, the permits that don't get like people that don't claim them or don't pay for them or whatever. There was 300 people that showed up for those permits, and there was like a few permits, and it looked like a football game. There were cars parked a mile down the road to get like a few permits off this place. And I was like, this is the most Texas experience I've ever had, was sitting here 300 people waiting for 10 permits or whatever it was. And not to hate on that, because like, what are you going to do? Let everybody hunt and then there'd be no deer? I get that part of it. But I just haven't had a great experience with Texas public ground. It's kind of, to me, it is sad that Texas has a similar amount of public ground to Oklahoma, and it's 5 times the size by landmass. I think it's pretty weak, to be honest. Like, I'm not a legislator. I don't know what it's like, and it will probably cost so much to acquire ground. I get that, but from a total just enjoyment perspective, it's not cool.
But you would think with the limited amount of hunting access, and there's a large abundance of people that are willing to hunt, whether that's no matter what it is, there's not enough hunters there's not enough public land to go around for the hunters. So therefore, they should be making a lot of money off of the hunters if there's even remotely a stable amount of the population buying a tag or a license year after year. So you'd be thinking that they would have enough income sooner than later to try to buy either more public land or lease some or do something instead of just feeling like they're probably pocketing it all. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't know. The thing is, too, I don't know like the rate that they would be able to like pick up from that deficit. Like, let's say they started to acquire property. Like, if they got 1,000 acres, that's not going to make any difference in the short term. But if they started to do that time after time and again, it would maybe make a considerable difference. But
start somewhere. But
you got to start somewhere.
What are they doing with all the money then? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
You got to think from the Pittman Robertson Act, right? Like that. It's camping supplies, it's ammo, it's gun, it's bow, it's arrows, it's broadheads. Basically anything camping outdoor related, it has that tax on it, which goes into the conservation of the lands, right? So with that, it's like, yeah, there might be money allocated to like some different things like hiking trails, or I have no earthly idea whether they even, I don't know if that money goes to parks or whatever. So there could already be a cost.
They do have good parks.
Right. But with that, it's like, okay, so what about the hunting land at that point? Like, I don't know, just like with anything within the government, I'd like to see like
let's do a little audit.
Yeah, I'd like to
audit. Department of Government Efficiency come in and do a little audit.
I don't know, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Now, granted, like I said, there could be other parks that the money's allocated to. But other than that, it just seems weird.
Well, to me, there's obviously a massive demand for it. Like we talked about earlier, hunting's kind of cool right now. So I would think I'm almost in the boat. Like I'm not a socialist, but like self-imposed. Like if you created a fund where people are like, this is a public land acquisition fund. We're going to fund this. And when it gets to X, we're going to buy another piece of public land. I wouldn't be opposed to even something like that. On the end of your license, when they're like, do you want to donate $5 to blah, 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 when you buy something?
No.
Yeah. You always click no, probably.
Yeah.
If it was like to acquire more public land in Oklahoma, I would be like, sure. Yeah. 5. I'm in for 5. You do that at scale with hundreds of thousands of people. It's a lot of money. You could probably get 10 acres at least. Down here in Texas, you probably couldn't get much, but what sucks is there is good hunting. There is a really good hunting.
But it doesn't have to be to buy. It can just be to lease. You know what I mean?
Sure, it could be. But there's a huge demand for it in Texas. I think a quarter of the people that listen to the podcast are from Texas. And I can say it's frustrating as a non-Texan coming down here and trying to hunt, because you either need a good, family, you need a lot of money, or that's pretty much it. Those are your two options. Or wait till you draw a tag every once in a while, which kind of sucks. So,
I mean, I think that's what people need to be doing anyways. Just regardless, kind of like what we talk about off camera quite a bit, is like, if you ever have any ambitions to go hunt elsewhere, even if it isn't in your near future, it's kind of like your retirement. You got to invest in it now. That way you can enjoy the payoffs of that later when you're like actually wanting to do that.
For sure. Yeah. I really feel for the people though that are like, hey, I'm a dad. I got 3 kids. I have to work. When I'm not working, I want to be with my children. I like to just go hunt on a Saturday morning. And they're like, I have to drive 3.5 hours to even go do that. And you're just like, I feel for you. And you know what people do? They just choose not to hunt because they're selfless people. They aren't going to put their family at risk or their finances are at risk to go chase after a deer on public land. And I get it. I just hate that for people because I don't have kids yet, so I can jump in the car and roll. But I know there's a lot of people that can't do that. And that sucks. That really sucks. Now, Texas has fantastic fishing, so there's a whole nother side of that coin. Right?
That is true.
The fishing's amazing. On the coast is awesome. The freshwater lakes with the bass fishing are incredible. It's just on the hunting side, I think there's something lacking there. At least more to be desired. So,
and is it... Might be a stupid question. Nah, that was a stupid question because public land's public land. Well, I was going to say kind of like your lake thing. I was like, well, plus you got hog hunting and all that stuff. That's a lot more affordable to go to someone else's place and hog hunt. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like you could damn near ask permission for that and get away with it, rather than if you say, hey, can I deer hunt your property? They're probably going to give you 2 reasons why.
Not one reason.
Yeah,
double.
Yeah. So, but like if it's like, hey, if you got any hogs, taking care of the hog population out there, it's like, yeah, I'd assume that'd be a lot more forgiving than.
For sure. I think that's an East Texas thing. I think most people will let you hunt hogs, at least from what I understand. Let's knock some more of these out.
Josh, VR?
Come on. Buyer, dude. Come on.
Buyer?
I'm probably saying it wrong too, but that's my guess.
Guys have any plans to head to Alaska? If so, would you be more interested in DIY caribou, DIY bear, or maybe blacktail? What you got?
Ooh. Is there an all the above option? I'm interested in all those, but I think in the near term, I got to talk to my buddy Landon on the phone, who's planning a trip. But I think out of those 3, blacktail is the most attainable for like a true Western.
When you say attainable, you mean cheapest.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are synonyms.
Speaking my language.
Which one first? He said. I think blacktail would probably be first because it's the cheapest out of the 3. And then after that, I've already shot a black bear. I don't know how Jake feels about it, but I would bear would be my last one. Caribou would be my next on those lists. So I think a blacktail you can do for, let's just say, around $5,000 on the right trip, and the caribou, I don't know what that costs, but from what I've looked at, like all in, you're probably looking at 10 G's, which is, and then the freaking Kodiak or the Grizzlies are, dude, at $20,000. So
I wouldn't even know.
That's a like a 40 plus. I did good at the casino this year, and I'm going to, I don't know when those are ever going to be attainable in the near future. So the other two are even Caribou's not very attainable, but it's like a 2 or 3 year plan. So, anywho, what do you
I
think?
like it. So which one would you rather shoot first?
If I had my
Caribou
choice,
or
it would
blacktail?
go caribou or it would go grizzly bear caribou and then blacktail. It would go literally the opposite way if cost wasn't it. Oh, Josh said, "Let's talk." I've done them. Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Well, you just now
let's talk
screwed
after the
up
pod.
because Christian's going to be in your DMs 24/7 now. So that's your own fault.
There you go. Here you go.
Liam Jones Outdoors. What is you guys' favorite arrow brand? The ones that shoot straight. I don't really have like a favorite. I shoot FMJs and then switch to the Exodus MMTs, and I still got a whole mess of the MMTs. So, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say. I want to say like the MMTs probably were a little bit more durable after shooting through an animal. Like you could get another use out of them because it seemed like when you shot something with the FMJs, maybe it was just after the pass through it hit a rock, or maybe I just completely whiffed it and it hit a rock or something. It just always have like those little micro fractures or a bent tip,
bends more than anything.
Right where you put the broadhead on, and so we always nicknamed them like the one use arrow. Now, granted, that was 2 years ago. They could have gotten better by then. I liked them. Like I think they look pretty cool.
They're also really heavy.
They are very heavy, and that's something that I'm wanting to test more on is the arrows, because like I feel like we got like the broadheads for now, like pretty fine tuned, right? Like we know what we want to shoot. It's just how heavy at this point. And now it's like with the arrows, it's like I'm very open minded about it. Like whether it's this fat or this fat, like I don't really care. Like, but I do kind of know like obviously the length, but the weight of them, I kind of want them to be at a certain weight. But other than that, like I don't really have like a designated brand. What do you think?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of good arrows. I've shot Easton, like you said, the FMJs. I've actually shot Easton, not FMJs. Killed a lot of deer with Carbon Express when we first started hunting. And Exodus killed a bunch of deer with those and a bear. And now I'm shooting the Victory, I believe they're the VAP TKOs, which I like. I like an arrow that is light. That way I can put more weight up front, a light shaft. So I like the Victories for that reason. They have a pretty lightweight shaft. Like I can shoot 125 grains up front and still be a 480 grains with a 31-inch arrow, 30.5-inch arrow. So I like that. I like the idea of being able to put 150 up front and still being 500 grains. Like I think that's great. So those are what I'm shooting right now. But I think there's a lot of good arrows. I think there's like 5 brands you could shoot and be totally good, just like bows.
Cost has a lot to do with that too.
Dude, yeah. Heck yeah. You break one and you go.
Yeah, because there's a difference, like in one being really good and then one being like right for your budget, where you're like, hey, look, I'm happy with this. It does everything I want it to. I'm able to get, a couple uses out of it. And it also doesn't break the bank to buy a dozen. So that's always fun.
That's one of the reasons that I like the TKOs too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were what, 100 and something, $120 a dozen or something. They were not crazy.
And that's
I bought 2 dozen. Didn't I buy 2 dozen?
No, I think I only bought a dozen.
Okay, so they were more than that. I think they were like 200 then. They were, I remember they were 200 because I bought 6 for like $100 or something. They were still cheaper than the Exodus arrows I bought, because I remember saying that. So yeah, they're not that cheap, but in the realm of arrows, they were like right there. Yeah. Anyways.
Zach said, do you guys believe in morning hunts this late in the season? I don't mind them. Like, if you're hunting over like the winter wheat fields or, food plot or whatever, yeah, they're kind of more on that bed to food pattern at this point. So, when you walk out there for a morning hunt, you could blow them off the field just like you would do early season. But for the most part, like if it's not that scenario and you feel like you can get away with it, it's like, listen, if you screw it up, if you're in Oklahoma, you have another 7 days to get it done. And so if you still got a tag burning a hole in your pocket, it's okay to be a little risky because in 7 days you got a whole another like 9 months for it to, cool back down and you're sent to get out of there. So I think you'll be okay.
You're also running, you can look at it the other way. You're running out of days. So your morning hunts are in the single digits now. So if you have a spot that you think you can take advantage of it, I would. I know it's a very cliche Mr. Midwestern thing to say, oh, you can hunt mornings in late season. Well, I don't have a cut cornfield or beans or whatever name crop here, insert crop here. So
Corn feeder.
Corn feeder. Facts.
My favorite crop.
So that is a crop. That is a great crop, dude. I love that crop. It grows when I tell it to grow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll hunt them in the. I got a few Instagram ones that we can rock through.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there are more comments than anything. Brandon Barlow said PRC has more powder. I think of it almost as a Magnum. And then he said hunting apps have made remote spots more accessible. You just had to be able to read a compass to kill mature bucks in the 90s. Dude, even I
would have killed 0 mature bucks in the 90s if that's the case.
Reading the compass. Yeah. Well, hunting apps have made remote spots more accessible. I agree with that. Like, I remember when I first started hunting with Justin, he would send me to spots and he'd be like, okay, there's pins in each tree, like the reflective pins in the trees. Yeah. And I remember getting off the trail a little bit and not being able to see them and being like, oh, frick.
The worst is your battery on your flashlight or headlamp. And you're like, no. Like, I don't know where I am.
You're hunting like hundreds of thousands of acres and you get off there and you don't have a map. Like, you're like, oh, can my voice project that far? So
I've got lost.
Yeah. I've got lost before. Which I stumbled back upon camp like 3 hours later, which why they didn't come for me during that whole time pissed me off because they were like, their first question wasn't, or you lost, it was, where's the truck? And I'm like, dude, so I get lost looking for this deer that we had tracked. And I was like 2 miles from camp and I walked all the way back to camp. And I literally the reason I knew it was camp, I saw smoke coming out of the thing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my camp. I just started heading a direction, like just hoping to run into a road. And I'm like, dude, I'm so screwed. And I walk up magically.
Was this a morning or an evening sit?
A morning.
Okay, that's good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And I walk up. I walked 2 miles. Imagine walking 2 miles in one direction and just being like, I hope I run into something. That's what I was doing. And I'm like 14 years old. So I'm like, dude, I'm screwed.
You have a cell phone or?
Dude, I had a walkie-talkie. You're fixing to get me all pissed off. I was on the walkie-talkie and everybody's like, if you need anything, just turn on the walkie-talkie and yell and we'll hear you. And I'm like, at first it started like this. Guys, I think I'm kind of lost. 10 minutes later. Pretty sure I'm lost. 20 minutes later. Hey, I'm lost. Is this thing working? And then within 30 minutes, it was like, I'm lost. You guys need to get on the walkie-talkie. And I was just screaming into
It's probably because you didn't say over afterwards.
Yeah. So I walked up onto it's so dumb. I walked up onto camp and the guys were all eating. It was like noon. And they were all eating and they just said, where's the truck? And I'm like, dude, you think I was just walking through the woods? You think I just left it there? That was like miles away. And they're like, oh, you got lost? Yeah. They're like, we'll take you back to the truck. They didn't act like it was a big deal. I thought I was fixing to become like a forager. Like I was going to have to live out there for a while to be found. So it probably wasn't that big of a deal. But when you're a kid, like trees look 400 feet tall and
yeah, no, I mean, especially like in that, like every pine looks the same and it does get creepy.
That was the scary part was didn't know where I was. I thought I knew a direction. I was like, I think that's the direction. And I just went there and it worked.
Well, Justin got lost, did he not?
Oh yeah, he walked like 20 miles one day.
Yeah.
It happens. If it can happen anywhere, man, it's in the pines. The pines are especially when you get under a big pocket of the pines and you can't see out of them and you're just like, what the frick? And you're walking for like a mile and it's just the same crap. So anywho, Jake Kirkpatrick on Instagram said, do you call your bucks by gross or net score? Personally, I call them by gross. If they grew it, score it, and count it. What do you think?
That's 100% right. Right. Like if what's that old saying? Not nets for fishing, but like gross is for you, net is for the buck, right? Or yeah. Yeah, because that's the whole reason Pope and Young, Boone and Crockett, right? It was to get a gist on the like how healthy the population is within that subset of species. And yeah, so we always call it by gross, but unless like the net isn't, I don't know. What do you think? Like, is there a right or a wrong way to like?
I know it used to be net. I thought people used to say net most of the time, but
I'm making
I don't
something out
know.
of nothing. I know that was confusing, but like, what? Go ahead.
Well, I know people used to say net. I always say gross because I don't think net does a deer justice. Like I have one that was 142 and he netted 125.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a
That's
125.
stupid.
He's not a 125. He's just
It's kind of
not.
like Justin's deer too. He was not.
It's a good example.
What did he score?
Yeah.
165, and I think he netted 129. Yeah, something like that. 165 to 129. It's like, which one are you going to say?
Well, and it was because certain scoring systems are different, right? I think Pope and Young, you have to have 16. Maybe this is wrong, but 16 inches of non-typical points. So you could have a 15-inch drop tine, and if it's not 16 inches of total non-typical point, then it doesn't count as a non-typical. So that's just gone right off the top.
Mm-hmm.
And his deer had like 17. It had 15 inches or 13 inches, something like that, and then it also had all the deductions from side to side. So yeah, you took 30 inches off of a deer. It's like that's not how big that deer was. So
isn't that weird how like that kind like the describing a deer evolves over time? Because like if you were to ask your grandparents, like, oh yeah, that buck you seen the other day, how big was it? He's like, oh, it was an 8-point. And it's like, oh yeah, I shot a deer, in whatever year, and he was like, it was an 11-point or it was a 9-point. Like inches didn't give a dang spread time. Like they can't describe it. It was just a 9-point. It was just a 10-point, and that was it. Now it's like net, gross, and it's like nice.
Yeah, which I remember when you shot a deer one time, and I remember you either I don't yeah, you did. I don't know if it was Facebook message. I'm trying to think of the way you sent it to me, but you were like, I shot a 7-point. And like when you don't have a picture of something, you're like, what is that? Is that like this? Is that like this? Is it like this? You start to think about it. And I think you eventually like sent me a message off somebody's phone or Facebook or something, but it was like you holding it on the tailgate, and like that's how you talked about it. It wasn't, oh, it's about an 80-inch deer, it's a 120-inch deer. It was just, I shot a 7-point. You're
Don't
like,
knock that buck off. I know which one you're talking about. He was at least 82.
83, maybe. He might have been 83, man.
It's good old basket rack, man.
Shop. Yep, been there. Okay, here we go. Go ahead.
Aaron Cordy. I did blacktail on Kodiak in November. You end up spending a lot of money and be prepared for canceled flights. Ew. What do you mean canceled flights? Like commercial flights or like just the bush plane canceled?
I think the bush plane can be a problem if the conditions aren't right. They won't fly in the fog. I'm pretty sure that's right. And then the commercial flights can be a pain in the nuts too. Garrett, my buddy, who lived in, I think it's Kenai, Alaska for a little bit. He went on a hunt. I think it was for blacktail, and I don't know if it was Kodiak or not, but this fall, and he said he couldn't get a flight to wherever he was going. So he ended up going up there and going fishing. Like he didn't know he wasn't going until he already got up there. And so like that can be a problem in Alaska, is like getting around with the flights. Like it's so wild.
That's a good way to get pissed off.
Yeah, you've got 7. Imagine going grizzly hunting, you get 20 grand in a hunt, and they're like, we can't get you there. You're like, I'll start walking. How far? That's about 400 miles that way.
So what are we going to do about this? Like,
you think United Airlines cares if you got a $20,000 hunt? They're like, nice, sir. I get off in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Talk to the customer support. It's like, hello. How may we help you?
You're gonna get us canceled. Stop.
No, it's just true. I ain't even been any time away.
Okay, here you
Liam Jones Outdoors in Florida. The rut is just now starting. Ooh, that is true. That's crazy.
Nuts.
That's crazy. That would be cool though if you wanted to like jump around. You can legitimately jump around and chase the rut.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. That would be awesome. I don't know if I'd have it in me. I guess if it was still warm, I could do the rutting stuff, but I couldn't do the rut in January here unless it was like with a gun. Okay. Here we go. Go ahead.
Zach says, what mounts styles are y'all doing for your kills this year? So what mounts for your bucks, Christy?
I got $2. I did a Euro on the second one. Oh, true. I did a Euro on the smaller buck that I shot in December, and then I did a what's the super common one? Is it a 6900?
67 or 6900 is pretty common.
Okay. I did that form on my big one. So that form that Jake has over his right shoulder, I was saving that form for a big one I shot, and I wish I would have saved it for this one, but I shot a buck last year that scored 148, and I put him on that form. And then next year I went and shot a 162. So I just did that one. I didn't think you could go wrong with a 6900 or whatever it is, and just a subtle turn one way. I don't know which way I did it, but I think he'll look good. He's got a good presence, and then I think just straight on, sort of, and then with a little turn, he would look pretty good.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that one.
No, that's like the tried and true. I really thought you were going to do that same form, except just looking the other way. Like that form.
I like that form, but I don't want a bunch of those, It's kind of a special
You ain't going to
form.
have a bunch of them. And how much more special can you get than a 162?
A 163 and a half, like Zach?
Listen.
Zach goes from not having a lease to shooting a 163 and a half. Zach, what are you doing? Help us.
Yeah, that ain't no joke.
I'm about to hire you as
one more time
as a consultant to find me access.
What'd you do?
Oh, elk. I did a Euro at home.
Nice.
Yep.
Turn out like, how'd you whiten it?
I haven't whitened it yet. I literally just got the meat off of it and just sitting in the garage. So I don't know if I will whiten it or not.
So you got the meat off of it, but did you get the meat from inside of it yet?
From inside? Oh yeah, I did.
Okay.
That would be disgusting if it was hanging in the garage like that. Yeah, I found a European mount that I let someone do many years back in my grandpa's house the other day, and it was like a 7-year-old European mount, and it still had like stuff on it, dried, and I was like, "This is disgusting."
No, like I can't do that.
No, I can't either. So, on Instagram, Jake Kirkpatrick said, I wish more hunters understood a whitetail skeletal structure reaching maturity at 3.5 years old. The biggest antler growth is 4.5-year-old plus. Yeah, I agree with you. But did you see the thing on Oklahoma where they were saying Oklahoma shoots the most bucks over 3.5 years old or something? There, I saw a chart the other day that was.
Oh, actually?
That. Yeah, that like the majority of the bucks that we shoot are over 3.5. It was something to that extent, which I found crazy.
That is crazy. Now that's not including all the poachers though, and how many people 2 buck tags actually shoot $5. You know what I mean? So
no, that's just grandma.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the problems, but that is true too. And how many people? Where are they getting these surveys at? Like, are they getting them from the processors or the taxidermists? Like
I don't understand that. I know you can forecast.
Where are they?
Like you can use in statistics, right? You can use a smaller sample to broadcast the rest, but where are they getting that? Like
you see, because like if they're getting it at meat processors, obviously that's probably a little bit less bias as taking it to taxidermy. Because if you try to just take the teeth out of taxidermists, like usually people aren't going to mount it unless it's like considerable size, or at least the majority of them, right? So it's like that's a little bit skewed if they were to do it like that. But if they're taking it to the meat processors, in a way, that's also a little bit biased because there's a lot of people that do their processing at home. And with that, it's like I know people, and I've been guilty of it too in the past, where let's say you shoot a doe and it's like a little bit on the smaller side. It's like, oh, I'm just going to cut it up at my house instead of spending $150 and having someone process it so I can get 30 pounds of meat out of it.
Yeah. Also,
That I don't know. That doesn't sit right with me.
I don't know how they're getting the age thing. I guess that'd be an interesting thing to talk with Dallas about. Dallas Barber. Like, I think that'd be pretty interesting because if I shoot a buck that's any considerable size that I'm mounting, it's already caped off. It's already caped off the skull into a European mount before we go to even the taxidermist or sorry, the processor or wherever I'm going to drop off the meat. It's already quartered. So I don't know. And also, I feel like those people aren't going to do any more work than they have to. They're not just going to start pulling jawbones for fun. Like, they're going to just be like, cool, throw it out. So I don't know.
You think
be
they just
interesting.
probably get like 10 to 15 of them per place, and just they call it a random,
I don't know.
or whatever. I don't know.
I'd like to hear it. I'm sure there's definitely some method to it. Aaron Cordy said Island Airways, and he said $3,500 to book the trip, the license, then the flights, luggage overweight, bringing the meat back, ended up closer to 8K. Yeah, $3,500 to book the trip, and then everything on top. That's luggage overweight. Yeah, that's a big one. Bringing the meat back. Yeah, ended up closer to 8K. Yeah, it's expensive, man. That's
What was that for?
That's Cody. That was for a blacktail. He said.
Wow.
Yep. Here's the man himself.
Door knocking.
Dude, you don't got to lie to us.
Door knocking with some Tingemans.
I think Zach door knocks, and he has like a wad of cash taken out of his back pocket, and he goes, "No worries, I'll try someone else." And when he turns around, it's just sticking out, and they're like, "Hey, sir." Actually,
I wonder if it'd help to be like super, super flamboyant. Be like, "Hey guys, I was just wondering if we could maybe just go hunting for some deer." And the farmer's probably like, "This guy ain't shooting nothing."
They tried to teach me to do that at one of my internships one time, and it worked.
Actually,
for the guy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
they taught you to be flamboyant,
more flamboyant
in order to close a sale.
For sure. We were selling. We were working for a marketing firm, and we were selling HelloFresh back in like 2017, maybe 2018. And the guy was like, "It's very hard to approach women being super masculine because they think you want something from them." So he was like, if you're more flamboyant, more, high pitched, he was like, it was like, basically it makes him more comfortable, which I thought was kind of weird, but he was like, watch. And I'm like, this is going to be embarrassing. And the next lady that walked by, he had like a normal voice. I don't have a very deep voice. His voice was way deeper than mine. And the next lady that walked by, he was like, "Hey ladies." And he walked over kind of like this. And they were super cool with it. So I was like, "Oh, I ain't doing it, but good for you. Good for you."
Whenever you said, because women think they want something from you, it reminded me of that Joe Rogan skit where he was like, "I'm confused."
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't say the full thing, but I'm confused.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
Oh, dang, that's a good one. I need to rewatch it.
Here you go.
Hey, Ron Cordy, door knocking and offering help with chores and handiwork, especially with elderly folk. That is good. That is good. But my luck, I'd be freaking picking weeds in the garden or shoveling poo, whatever the case may be. I'd be doing that and for 50 inches of bone, baby.
Yeah,
be my luck.
I would say let me run my camera, and if there's something good, I'll help you.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. Then we'll talk.
I'm just kidding. Okay. Liam Jones Outdoor said, "Do you think going on a public land trip once a year out of state, or buying a small piece of private to hunt on any time out of state as a trip?"
First option.
I don't think these are really comparable. Even a small piece of land, I don't think your taxes on the land would be similar to what you'd spend on a public land trip once a year.
So I was listening to Bill, what's his last name? Big Hunter, Midwest Whitetail, Bill Winky,
yeah.
I was listening to him talk. I forget which podcast it was on, but he was talking about that, how, he had a really good farm. He sold it, and then he was trying to start over fresh on this new farm. And he was like, I paid, probably a little bit too much for it. And he was like, I probably would have been better off leasing a spot for this year rather than buying this farm and doing what I may with it, just because I think he was talking about like neighbor situations and how they could potentially change year from year, and then like long term it might be good, but especially on like what you're talking about, a small piece of private, it's like I think you'd be better off, or maybe it'd be a better question if the option was between public land and leasing, because you could be signing your life away on a piece of like a private piece that you're going to be regretting after that next year due to probably some unforeseen circumstances.
To be fair, a small piece of property of private probably would move pretty quick if you did want to get rid of it. But I just think it'd be way too expensive for what you're getting. Like you're getting a small piece of private, like something that might cost you $500 a month. You might be able to lease for $500 for a year. So maybe a little more. But anyways, I wouldn't want to own something out of state too, because you're always at the helm of the regulations, and they're never really for non-resident hunters. So like look at a state of Iowa, like they took away the landowner loophole where you can party hunt as a private landowner, a non-resident party or landowner. So one thing like that, and you're back to not getting to hunt your ground for 4 or 5 years. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Go ahead.
RNW. I fly first class when hunting out of state. I can put 2 75-pound coolers on the plane, plus wife's 2 75-pound coolers, plus free alcohol.
Is it free if you paid for
it? It's probably squeezed in there a little bit.
That's like when you go and you pay a $25 cover to get in somewhere, and they're like, "Hey, free beer." And you're like, "Nice, I'm in."
Yeah,
you just paid for it. No, that's cool though. Maybe there is a strategy there. Maybe there's a strat there. Here we go. 25 feet up said, "What's up, fellas? I can't stay long tonight. I just wanted to say I just finished the elk video. Congrats, Christian. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thanks for stopping in too."
He usually says hi.
Yeah,
on about every single live.
I'm gonna say we've seen hit 25 feet up. I remember that name. I've seen that many times in the lives. So thank you, sir. We're actually editing a bunch of different videos right now. What all we got coming up? What are you working on?
Nebraska. A failed attempt in Nebraska.
Oh, don't tell them that. Come on, give them a little.
Nah, it's a failed attempt, dude.
If they listen to the podcast, they know what's going on.
They know. Plus, if you didn't kill one and they're like, Jake got a shot opportunity, he definitely didn't kill one. So they kind of already knew. But yeah, I don't know. It's dang near done. So it's at 34 minutes, and I don't think a video that's unsuccessful should be 34 minutes long. And so I'm trying to trim it down.
Maybe. Well,
I don't think so.
Probably not. Because the elk hunt was 34 minutes long, and it was successful. And I was like, could be shorter.
Yeah.
Could have been a little shorter. But I also trimmed a lot out, and that was a 5-day hunt, where the Nebraska hunt was 3 days?
Yes.
3 max. Maybe a couple days scouting. That was a really good that was a fun trip. But 25 feet up said, I listened to the podcast, but January is dry on YouTube, so drop some hunts. Okay, well, your wish is our command. We're definitely going to be dropping some hunts. I got an antelope hunt coming up.
Have you started on it?
Yeah, I have. And then we got the 2 bucks a shot this year. We'll probably make those into one video, and then we have a rutcation trip. So how many is that? 3 or 4 coming out, hopefully. Yeah, we'll have 3 or 4 more coming out in January. So
3. Carry the one.
I'll use my strong hand.
My strong hand. Yeah.
Well, okay, here we go. Liam said, "I'm so obsessed with hunting right now. I'm debating moving north to own a big farm in Iowa or something. I live in Florida. If you're obsessed with big bucks, the state of Florida is going to be probably not a great long-term solution for you."
Where at in Florida? Are you kind of just where you can hour and a half drive over the border, or are you deep in it?
Yeah, Georgia might be an option for him.
Yeah.
Little sequel one style.
That's my thing. That's my thing. But this was the first live for the new year, 2025. So
Happy New Year, everybody.
yeah, with that, what do we got on the docket for the new year for people who might not have been caught up on the last podcast?
On the docket in terms of what?
The rest, the remainder of the season. What comes after the season? Like what can they be expecting on the podcast for this upcoming year?
Oh, heck yeah. Well, we're gonna try to move to. We're still going to be doing a lot of whitetail or a good amount of whitetail content, internal podcasts. We'll probably up the frequency of the lives, to be honest, because they're fun. We get to talk to you guys, and we're not in season, so it's easier to kind of be at home and sit down for a couple hours. And it's cold right now, so we don't want to be outside as much. And then we're also going to be doing some more, it's a windy boy, in the theme of kind of more adventure style stuff that we're interested in. The elk hunting was kind of just like dipping a toe in that, and we do want to go to Alaska and do some other stuff. So we're going to have some more, maybe not Western focused is the right word, but more adventure style bow hunting and survival type of content coming up in the next few months, and we'll just kind of see how it goes, and maybe we'll keep doing more of that stuff if you guys like it. So if there's somebody that you guys want to definitely hear on the podcast, somebody somebody you don't know but you enjoy watching their content, let us know, because we're kind of putting ideas together and trying to schedule guests and stuff. So that's kind of where we're at on the podcast front. And then we'll get you guys all caught up with the hunting videos this month, and we'll kind of start off on a fresh, clean slate, I guess, in the spring. Anything else that I missed?
Wherever you're listening to this, and this is mainly for the people not on the live. Let's listen to this outside of on Spotify or Apple. Be sure to leave a rating and review. I know there's a lot of people that listen and not a lot of reviews, so if we can amp those up, it just helps us be able to grow the podcast. And we're consistently like top 50 on the Wilderness podcast in the rankings, but if we could get like consistent top 25, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That would that make me happy.
Yeah,
I feel like we did something. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. So we'll probably do another live here in maybe a couple weeks, maybe less. So, but if you guys want to hear on the podcast in the meantime, let us know. And I think with that, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Jesus loves you.
Bye.